slumped. Not slumped, but versus up. It's fine though. Have you seen those little tanning inflatable pools? Did you get one up here? Okay.
What's up, everybody?
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing a Q&A, which we haven't done in so long. I'm so excited. I love these videos.
Nice.
We love just chatting, catching up. We haven't done one in a hot minute. We wanted to answer any questions about life, parenting, health, all the things. Updates.
I feel like we've been wanting to do this for a while and just haven't had the time or the right moment to do it.
And Smoke just turned 1, so I feel like we just hit a huge milestone in our life. Our baby's 1, and it's just about a good time to kind of reconnect and dive into it. So let's do it.
I wonder when our last Q&A was. Was it like before Smoke or right after parenting?
I think it was like right after we had him.
He was born.
I think I did like a motherhood one, and then we haven't done one since. So it's been a minute.
I feel like the Spritz and Chips days are coming back.
Hopefully.
So cheers to our health journey.
Cheers with our Hydro Jugs.
Our Hydro Jugs. With our electrolytes. That's our Spritz and Chips for the day. Actually, Spritz, water,
and
chips.
Seed. See, this is our new chips.
Yeah, exactly. I've already taken mine.
Oh, you took yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've already taken mine today, as I do every morning. I usually never forget to take in the mornings. And if I do, I'll take it in the afternoon. So I have breakfast in the morning, we go to the gym, I come home and do my protein, creatine, all that kind of stuff, and take my supplements, which includes like beef liver capsules, all of that, plus seed. We take seed every day.
Seed is a daily symbiotic. So basically a probiotic, if you guys have heard of like gut health. A lot of you I know are pretty familiar with wellness and health on this channel because we focus a lot on that. But if you're not, it's basically a tablet that you take that goes into your gut and adds good bacteria into your gut, which is like in the center of your digestion. It runs all of your digestion, your regularity, your immunity. It's like kind of the center of your body and your wellness track. If you ever work with like a nutritionist or someone that is helping you with your diet or something like that, they always talk about the gut because that is like all of your functionality of like your whole system.
And they recommend a probiotic.
Exactly.
And many of
them
which recommend seed.
It's gonna help you with digestion, with bloating, your skin clarity, your immunity. It's just really good for a lot of people to be on a probiotic. I took this all while I was breastfeeding and pregnant. It is just a staple for both of us in our health routine daily. Take 1 or 2 a day and you'll be amazed at the improvements that you see, especially with your digestion. Specifically, that's where I noticed it the most.
We've been on it for like 2 years now, and I just remember like when we first moved to Nashville, we were going out to like dinners all the time. I always had like a stomach ache.
Indigestion.
I never felt good. I always felt bloated. And yes, although we've cut back on eating out over the past year, we started taking this about 2 years ago, and I just felt like I just felt better all across the board. Like my stomach felt better. I never felt really bloated. I felt like I was putting good bacteria back into my body. When previously, if you get sick, you take antibiotics, which strips all of your gut bacteria.
Yeah.
Good bacteria, bad bacteria, it strips it all. And so
you have to build it back up.
Yeah, bringing something back into your system, bringing good bacteria back into your system is super important. And we chose seed for that. We love seed. We highly recommend, and we always have a discount code. We'll put it here on the screen. It's JH25 for 25% off. And a lot of y'all, I know y'all have heard us talk about seed many times. And I think we mentioned Seed University in the past. We'd highly recommend checking out Seed University. There's only so much like we can tell you all about Seed. They have Seed Instagram and then they have Seed University Instagram. And Seed University just gives you a whole roundabout spiel.
Walkthrough of what this is.
Yeah, it's super informative. It's a really good like place to start. If you're interested in taking something like Seed, start at Seed University and just like understand what you're taking before you jump into something.
I would say too, like a lot of people in our generation, Hunter and I have been on our health journey both in different ways, but we kind of all grew up on like eating processed food and taking antibiotics, and that was just like the norm for the years that we grew up. And a lot of our friends and people in our community, like we're starting to see health effects more now. It's sort of like anti-inflammatory stuff, autoimmune, fatigue, anxiety, depression, like all of that stems there from the gut and your health. And it's worth looking into your gut kind of journey and seeing where you're at, you would be surprised like how much stems off of that. And this is sort of like a first step to sort of assessing that, seeing if you can get your gut in the right place. It's obviously going to be the best supported when you're eating like a cleaner diet, exercising, all that stuff is going to like add into it. But this is kind of a good kickstart. So you guys check it out. We'll have all the info down below. We love this.
Yeah, I mean, health and wellness is definitely trending, but I don't think it's trending because it's cool per se. I think it's trending because
we're all freaking out.
More and more people are actually prioritizing it and making it like something that's of importance to them in their life, and like trying to take care of themselves, take care of their body. And something like seed, a probiotic, a symbiotic, is a good place to start. Like Julia said, we all kind of grew up eating not the best foods, a lot of processed foods, and something like this is a good way to kickstart that health journey. And yeah, we'd recommend.
Okay, really quick, we're on our new rooftop area. We just furnished. We got all our furniture from TJ Maxx, so we need to do a tour of that in our next vlog. You guys can see it all on Instagram though if you want to see, but that's where we're at. Rooftop party. Okay, first question is,
would you homeschool smoke for location flexibility?
We've definitely thought about it. We've sort of like entertained the idea of schools. We haven't really thought like too much about it. Hunter and I are not really planners, but I think when it comes to schooling for kids, you have to kind of get on it, especially in Nashville. There's like wait lists for different schools and stuff like that. But we like to travel a lot, so we've definitely thought about the idea of homeschooling or maybe like a co-op system.
Yeah, I think our ideal world is, future world at least, is where we would have 2 homes in 2 different locations, like part-time homes, like back and forth 6 months out of the year. That's kind of a goal of ours. And I think to pursue that, you got to think about your children, where you're going to be living, and like what schools they're going to go to. And when we started really jumping into that, we started thinking about co-op opportunities where they can attend a school while you're in town, or if you're out of town, you can pull them out and do more of the homeschooling with that curriculum that they're providing, where you have a little bit of best of both worlds in a way. It's not just like pure homeschooling or pure public or private schools.
Which we want a little bit of a mix of both, because we don't want him to be like purely homeschooled. I wouldn't mind that actually. Or like fully in school. I wouldn't mind it though. I don't know.
I don't think we would mind either one. I think we're leaning more towards homeschooling at this point in time, at least when he's at the age of like actually learning curriculum and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think like more people in our generation are doing homeschooling, like the more moms that I talk to, or that sort of like half and half structure. My mom actually is a tutor, like she tutors kids of all ages, and she always tells us like by far the smartest kids she's ever worked with are the homeschool kids, just because you get like a little bit more attention and focus on your learning. Sometimes Hunter and I think school, like you waste a lot of time. It's a lot of like socializing, which is very good. And there's also a lot of benefits to that. But I think in terms of like focusing on academics, like if you really want to get it done, you could do like a couple hours a day with the kids at home. And that might be better than sitting in a classroom. I don't know.
And in a community where there's like a lot of people being homeschooled, a lot of kids or a lot of parents on the same page in a way, you can still like socialize with those families. Like if you were purely homeschooled. But the nice thing about co-op is that they actually get to see their friends at school for a couple days a week, and then they come home and you teach them and stuff like that.
Totally. I think we also like the idea of being able to influence like things that we focus on, that he learns,
how he learns,
making sure, how he learns, making sure that everything is like really useful and a little bit more practical for the real world. And I don't know, I just think it could be a little bit more modernized than the system has been in the past. So we do think about it, but I think we have a couple years away. We're not going to probably start him in school until he's like 3, closer to 3. He's only 1 year old right now.
Yeah, and granted, we might do like a couple years of like daycare, Mother's Day out or something like that before we actually jump into the homeschooling portion. But that's just where our thoughts are right now.
Okay. When do you guys plan on having baby number 2? P.S. Love you guys. Love you too. Definitely sooner than later. We don't have an exact time frame because I think we would want to like leave it up to a little bit of surprise. But I think we need a little bit more time with Smoke. I want at least another couple of months with him not being pregnant. We definitely want them close together, so probably within the next year. But when exactly, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much on the same page. I think we're both down if like an accident happened and we got found out we were pregnant tomorrow, we'd be like awesome.
Yeah.
And I think we prefer it to be an accident almost. Like it's we didn't necessarily enjoy, like, once we made the decision to start trying, we didn't enjoy, like, the trying aspect of, like, hey, did it happen this time, or like, are we pregnant now, and like the kind of the waiting game. It'd be kind of nice to the next child to just like find out we're pregnant one day.
Definitely.
So I think when the time comes, we'll just be like really loose and relaxed about it, and not necessarily try.
It's just now I see logistically how a child really affects like just your day to day, your time spent with other people, with your life, and like the stress levels just kind of go up a little bit. And I really want to make sure that we feel ready for that addition, because if anything, your time just gets like smaller and smaller and smaller. And I just want to make sure mentally like I'm ready to take that on. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. We're both excited for a second child though, by the way. Like, we're excited to keep the family growing.
Oh,
we
so
want
excited.
multiple kids, 2 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And we're just not in any rush, but we're not like super hesitant either. Like, when it happens, and we're excited for that.
Okay, with that said, the hardest part about having a kiddo, I would say, if anything, just the time. Like the life balance as a total, that is the hard part. The kids are not hard. They are like so fun. All you want to do is just like hang out with them. They're so happy, they're cute. Like, yeah, there's just kind of difficult every once in a while, but it's like nothing you can't handle. It's more like work and balance of everything.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like you give up anything necessarily. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Anything that you like had to give up, you're grateful to give up because you're excited to spend time with your child, and you're so like happy and in love with your child. But I would say, yeah, the hardest part is probably just like time, and like knowing how to manage your time to make sure that you're getting all of your stuff done, and then being able to still dedicate your undivided attention to your child when that time, when you have those moments.
I think it's just harder to have kids in like the modern world with our modern lifestyle, with, you know, both parents working more and how fast everything moves and busy. It's just like, it's easy when you're living literally like on a farm in like a little, you know, or a teepee back in the day, and just like all you have to do is take care of your babies and cook food. Like, probably not easy, but I don't know, it's just different. So it takes like some major planning and strategizing.
And I think for us personally, because we have a lot on our plate and we keep adding things, like we're kind of like, we have an issue of always adding things to our plate and just taking on these things and being so like optimistic, like, oh, this will be fine, this will be easy, let's just do it, and throwing things on the plate. And then when Smoke arrived, we were like, okay,
we have to chill.
Smoke or having a baby is a bigger portion on your plate than you realize, so you have to like remove some of the sides off your plate to like open up space. And so I think for us, it's like figuring out like, what are the priorities, what are things we can kind of like dish off, and yeah, just like be able to make sure that we're putting 100% into everything we have on our plate instead of just like letting things fall to the side.
Totally.
If that makes sense, I don't know. What do you love about living in Tennessee? We want to move from California soon.
Okay, what I love, I grew up in California, so I feel like I can answer, because living in Tennessee or the South is like a completely different experience than living in California. I love it. I think that the hard thing growing up in California, if you're there now, is going to be the weather and like the quality of life, like with the ocean and the mountains and the trees. The scenery. You will miss that, and it adds a lot to your life. However, I think the people are amazing. It's way more like community based. I think because like church is such a big thing in the South, like people are way more social, they're friendly, they're more connected. California is very like individual, like everybody's like on their own plan, like free spirit, which is like a vibe in its own. But I really enjoy the camaraderie of the Southern culture, especially in Tennessee, just the friendliness, and it's not as go. It's a little bit slower.
You get some of that. So I think it's a good happy medium between like other southern states and a state like California or New York. It's like a good happy medium where you have a town like Nashville where a lot of people are moving to from other big cities, so you kind of get that like industry and tech and all that kind of stuff, like things are going on and happening, but you also have like the fact that it's in the South, so it's like it is a little bit slower, and I feel like people are a little bit more friendly and like down to like have a conversation with you and like say hello when they're walking past you. It's not
they
so
just
like,
grow up different. It's like a totally different environment. California, you can like walk by and say hi to someone and they're like, why are you talking to me? It's like everyone, and that's just the way it is. You don't know any different until you leave. So
when we first moved to California, or when I first moved to California, That was like a common thing. We'd be on hikes and be like, hey, how's it going? And they'd be like, what the hell are you, why are you talking to
People
me?
were like, why is Hunter so like friendly or whatever? I'm like, that's just like Southern kids. They are different, and it took me a while to get used to, but it's made me a lot more social and like talkative, and I really love that about it. So I don't know, you just have to be craving like a completely different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And
But I would
be
say to
ready for
round
that.
it up, we feel that Tennessee, or Nashville specifically, feels very wholesome,
Yes.
with a lot to do, good food. There are good like nature hikes and stuff like that. It's just not like you're walking out on like the redwoods by the ocean or something
Yeah,
like that.
it feels a little like landlocked.
But you are close to a lot. Like it's easy
Yeah.
flight, like an hour flight to New York City,
Yes.
hour flight to Florida, Charleston.
There's
there's a lot of road trip opportunities.
So much live music that we love about it, because you can literally catch any show, any artist. So that's a plus.
There's a lot to
Huge
do.
plus. Good food. Yeah, those are some of the highlights.
It's a really good home base.
It is. It is.
Well, I saw a question on there. It was like, do y'all plan on moving back to the cabin after it's finished?
Oh, yeah.
I think we've answered this a lot in vlogs, but we'll just answer it here since it's the Q&A. We do not plan on moving back to the cabin. We plan on selling it once we're finished with it, and then starting the build on the farm property. And that airplane coming over, one sec. That actually comes up in a lot of comments on our videos, is if the farm and the cabin is the same thing. No, the cabin is in Nashville proper. It's on an acre lot, like a really pretty neighborhood that's really being developed over there in that area. And so when the cabin's finished, we plan on selling it. And then our farm is about 35-40 minutes outside of Nashville on a larger property, just under 20 acres. And we want to have like our kind of our dream home and forever home. I doubt it'll be our forever home, but we're going to kind of build it like it is and give it 5 years and see how we feel if we want to stay there. But yeah, they're two separate properties, and we plan on selling the cabin to start the farm project.
Hunter and I are very much like, we don't like to plan far out in advance, because we're really like to decide and feel things like in the moment versus planning things too far out.
Very
because
spur of the moment.
yes, so we're like, we'd rather just not decide and just like kind of go follow the breadcrumbs and be like, this feels fun, let's go this direction, and then just pull triggers like when they need to happen.
Yeah.
So
and we love our farm property, the one we bought. Like we're obsessed with it. But that's not to say that if a year from now and we're working on the architectural plans for the house and another property comes available that we like better, like we'll sell ours and buy another. Like we just are very open to what kind of is thrown at us, and we're down to change our mind, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Okay, how is it living far away from parents with a baby now? So Hunter and I live in Tennessee. His family lives in Texas. My family lives in California, and other various places. My family's sort of spread out, but it's definitely harder being away from family now that we have a baby. I think that if you have a child, a lot of things just like come into perspective when you have a kid, and you just sort of like miss your family more, because you realize all of that time and like special moments and memories, you want to be closer to them.
It's also, you realize it's limited.
And you realize it's limited,
Yeah.
yes. So we often talk about that. It's definitely more of a conversation now that we have a baby and are planning to have more kids, but it's hard for us because our family is spread out. So either place that let's say we decided to live close to one of them, the other one is not close. So it's kind of a challenging situation that we don't know the answer to yet. But
to piggyback on that, I would say that it makes the time that you are with them, though,
very special.
that much more special than if you just see them on the regular basis.
Take it for granted.
You take it for granted. So we definitely take our time with our families, like we see the value in it, and we try to make the best of it and like make it special. Each time it's special, I think.
Yeah.
And as Smoke gets older and you see your parents like interacting with them, or your siblings or their little cousins and stuff interacting with them, it's like super special. So
yeah,
I think living away from them has made the times with them
better, that
much more like meaningful.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard one. Someone said like, oh, do you feel guilty living away from family? Not necessarily. Like, it's, if you want to live somewhere else and that's like in your path and you want to do that, then I think you have to like allow yourself that time and you got to go for it. You should never do something or not do something because you feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Because then you're living to make someone else happy, even if it's like your family, versus you, and then you'll just end up resenting them, which
But
is worse.
We both have felt guilt.
Yeah, of
like
course.
about each of our families and stuff like that. We've both felt a little guilt moving.
Yeah.
The variety of times we have moved, and
Yeah.
like anytime you see them and they're going home, or anytime you're visiting home and you
We feel
leave, you're
bad.
like, oh, like, you know, kind of, it's like a knife. You're like,
I
it like hurts a little bit to leave, or like leave family, but like I said, it's special
Yeah.
when you're with them. So
Exactly. It's a hard one. It's definitely really hard.
any advice on marriage after baby? Feel like we're at each other's throats.
Okay.
You'll have those days.
Definitely. I definitely think like the stakes get a little bit more tense after you have a baby, just because there's like more on the line. So I think that's normal. Hunter and I are definitely more, it's not that we like fight more, but it's more like, it's just higher pressure. Like I said, the stakes are higher. There's more responsibilities, there's less time, and there's just more to do. So you're like kind of on each other a little bit, because you're like, did you do this, do this? It's just a higher stress situation.
I feel like the times that you experience frustration toward your partner is when you're on this like responsibility like page.
Yes.
And you're wanting that person to like get on your level.
Totally.
But other than that, it's like, it just feels normal to us.
It does. Yeah. I think at the very beginning, I was just talking to a friend about this earlier today. When we first had Smoke, I would say like month, probably like 4 to 6, like we were kind of like, what's going on here? Like we were not really spending a lot of time together, because we were like both with the baby a lot, or like trying to adjust to the new lifestyle.
New
so
balance.
He would go work out by himself and I would be with Smoke, and then we'd switch, and all of a sudden we were spending like all this time apart, and it was just a different setup than we had before. So we felt like a lot of distance, and then you're just all day working, taking care of the baby, and then at night you're just like, oh, I feel like I haven't even talked to you.
Like, don't touch me, I'm tired.
Literally. And I feel like the connection just sort of like severed a little bit, but then it kind of came back around once we like got well adjusted. So I just think there's periods of that where you're gonna like go through phases,
and not like it was ever in a bad place.
No,
it was just like for a period of time it was like, is this the new normal?
Totally. And it kind of scares you, because you're like, oh,
you're like,
God.
oh man, is this like what life is like as a parent? And then you're like, no, like, okay, this is just like a stage or a period of time, and you work through it.
Yeah.
But yeah, from like a fighting standpoint, we were never really arguing. It was never like fights. It was just like it's a new life. It's just a new life.
Yeah.
It's a new structure.
So hard to describe.
It really is hard to describe. It's hard to put like even like thoughts.
It's like literally a rebirth.
Yeah.
Like for your whole identity.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
There's been moments where it's pushed us apart, and then there's been other moments where it's brought us closer together than we've ever been.
Yeah.
And I think like now you share something so special, like a child that you've had together.
Yeah.
That alone like brings you so close.
Totally.
But yeah, I would say like now it's just like finding time for each other away from him. Like,
yeah.
I think hopefully this year like we'll maybe do like a couple weekend trips without him and stuff like that, so you can kind of have some of that time. But we do a pretty good job at like when he goes to sleep, we like hang out together and like,
totally.
We bond over certain movies or shows.
It just like, I feel like it moves away from this sort of like more puppy love where you're like, oh, like us and our relationship and blah, 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 and it grows into like this like deep sort of like partnership where you really like respect each other and you're like working as a team, and it's like this very like deep rooted partnership. That's the only way to describe it. Like way more depth than before.
Yeah, last thing I'd say based on what you said, it kind of sparked an idea, is that it might have been easier for us than like just the standard person, because we had already worked together in our careers.
Yeah.
Because when you have a kid, it does feel like it's like a new job that you're working together on. And so I felt like we jumped from like working on that career to like this new career, which is like parenthood.
Yes, yes.
But people who don't have that working balance already in their relationship, it could be a struggle where you're like learning how to work together for the first time.
Yes. And we had that friction at first when we first started working together, and then you figure it out and you get through all like the bumps and turns and everything.
Yeah.
It comes together.
But we wouldn't change it. Like, no. I wouldn't, for us, like, I loved our life before we had Smoke, but I wouldn't want to go back to that life now that we have this one.
Never.
You know what I mean?
It's so much richer, like, with a baby. Which I think some of you guys asked that, like scared to like lose my independence, having a baby and stuff like that. You won't even care because it's so much better to like have this beautiful child that you love and cherish so much. That outweighs your independence by a long shot. And of course you're still gonna like want to like have your time and stuff, but it's so much greater that you won't look back on that and wish you had it. It's like, I promise.
Yeah. All right, next question. Do we ever smoke weed? And we did a lot in college, actually.
Yeah.
When we first met, it was like we would smoke weed and listen to music, and it was
we were like
fun.
kind of stoners when we first met.
Not stoners.
Not stoners, no. But definitely like a couple times a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would be like chill in the car and like listen to music, or we'd go and like hang out outside and go to the park and just like vibe out together. It was
growing up
really
in
chill.
Northern California, I was smoking weed as like a freshman in high school. I know that's so young, but that's literally like everyone smoked weed. In California, everyone just does smoke weed, so it's a thing. Now in our later
Not
years,
everywhere, but I feel like in Northern California,
yeah,
sure.
it's definitely more common there. And now in our later years, like it kind of makes Hunter and I both anxious. I think that happens for a lot of people, so we kind of stay away from it every once in a while. Like
I kind of personally hate it.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't like feeling a loss of control.
Yeah.
Over my like thoughts or over my
Me
like
neither.
being able to like just be responsible.
Yes.
I like being in control of like my being in a way, and I feel like weed takes away from that.
I agree.
And I don't like paranoia or anything like that.
Yeah.
I used to really enjoy smoking weed. I used to have like really good experiences, and now I just never. I haven't had a good experience in a long time. So
No.
we both kind of stopped.
My like viewpoint on like drugs and stuff is I know it's like definitely more common now. Like a lot of people are trying mushrooms and experimenting with like different psychedelics or non-psychedelics, whatever. I think I'm interested in sometimes trying things for like a singular time to like see the experience, but personally I don't ever want to be trying drugs to like escape anything or try to have like revelations or anything. I would rather figure out a way to do that in my like regular consciousness, like on a daily basis, than rely on a drug to get me there, if that makes sense. Like at one point I was like, ooh, I want to try ayahuasca and stuff like that, which I would never. Like I talk about it, but I would be way too scared to try ayahuasca. But it's like, I've heard some people that have taken it, they're like, yeah, it was cool, like I had the revelation in the moment, but then you kind of forget. So it's like, how do you get to that like every day, not being on drugs? I don't know, but yeah.
I do enjoy microdosing mushrooms.
Yeah.
I have like microdosing mushroom capsules. And funny story, actually, about 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, we were visiting her family in San Francisco. I had bought some microdose mushroom capsules and some microdose chocolates. Well, the chocolate bar, it wasn't a microdose.
He thought it was.
I thought it was, but it wasn't. And I ended up taking 4.5 grams of mushrooms and had a full-on trip. And I had never tripped on mushrooms before, so it was like super.
So what's happening?
It was super unexpected. I was like, oh, I had done microdose mushrooms before in the past, and you don't really feel much. It's just kind of like clarity and stuff like that. But all of a sudden, my like trip hit me, and I was like in the clouds. I was hanging with aliens, and it was bizarre.
Hunter's like, I talked to aliens.
Yeah, I was literally like plugged in.
Okay.
Aliens had me like plugged into like a machine and like testing to see if my soul was ready to leave my body and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was wild. But anyways, super open to like natural drugs. I really don't want to do any like synthetic drugs. Never have.
Yeah.
Other than like pure MDMA. But
Hunter's a little bit more open-minded to that stuff than I am, just because he's not as like afraid. I am open-minded to it, but like I myself, like I'm too nervous to get out of my element. Except I have done the microdosing thing like once or twice, and I did
MDMA with
kind of interested in that.
I've only done it like 2 or 3 times.
It was amazing. I don't want to be doing it all the time though. It was at a really good time though, where I was like very stressed, and I think it kind of like it did help me in like a therapeutic way. I think drugs are interesting in terms of like therapy or working on your self-development
experiences, revelations.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, it's nice to have those, or know that you can have those without relying on anything like a drug.
Totally.
But I will say, when we did MDMA
helps,
together, that's when we decided to start trying for kids. We were like,
Yeah.
what are we waiting for? Like, we're both ready to be parents, and like that.
Yeah.
We had that conversation when we took ecstasy.
That's right.
I feel like ecstasy is a drug. I'm not trying to promote drugs or anything like that, but ecstasy is one drug that I would say is like,
I would say it's pretty positive.
it's very positive.
You can't like,
very,
yeah, it couldn't be bad.
Another thing with drugs is like any kind of drug. We aren't like huge partiers.
No.
So I would never be one to try like a drug at like a rave or like in a party environment.
Never.
Anytime I've done anything like that, it's been in like
It's like me and Hunter or like friends.
a room with like good music playing. It's just
Yeah.
like a couple people, super chill environment. I would hate to do it. Like I would hate it
Yeah.
if I was out like at Coachella or something like that.
Totally. I think that I'm interested in the microdosing mushrooms. I think like as a good way to like, I've heard it's really good for certain anxiety and things like that, just kind of like overcoming certain hurdles.
Yeah.
I liked when I microdosed mushrooms, I didn't even really like feel them that much, but
You don't feel them.
enough
Yeah.
to like, I started to think like a little bit more spiritually and about God and stuff like that. And those things I like, so it kind of helps you get in touch with that part of you, because it just like slows you down and brings you into like a new element where you can kind of like get a little bit of perspective. And yeah, like with that said, like Hunter and I were talking about kind of like getting back more into church.
Yeah.
And just like kind of finding that part of our life and spirituality again, which I would say is a big win.
Yeah, I would say if anything, it turns off your mind to like negativity in a way.
Yeah.
It allows you to think about more meaningful things.
Mm-hmm.
And one big thing about microdosing mushrooms is it does create like new neural pathways in your brain. So if you can be thinking positive or be having conversations that are like brighter,
Yes.
it makes your life brighter.
Yeah.
Even when you're off of them.
It
So
like registers your brain
yeah,
like that.
yeah, it kind of like does like a nice positive reset. Anyways, that's enough about drugs.
Yeah.
We're not big drug people.
No, we're
by
like
any means.
more
Like,
square probably
we're
than not.
super
but-
square. We hardly drink alcohol anymore.
Yeah.
But down for like, I'm down to try things if it's pretty natural.
Yeah, I think we're like both into it from a perspective like how can it aid our growth and give us like more happiness, joy, and perspective in our life.
Yeah, yeah,
So I think that's what they're good for.
for sure. Don't do drugs.
Yes. Don't do drugs. And just quadruple check where you're getting them from, that it's trusted.
100%.
You guys do not mess
Yeah.
around with that.
Don't screw with that. Like even when we got
When we did our
MDMA, we got it in Amsterdam and
Where
had
it's
it, like,
legal.
We had it tested there to make sure
Yeah.
there was like it wasn't traced with anything. Like
Yeah.
just be smart. Like we don't mess with any of the stuff that
the fentanyl vibes.
Yeah,
no,
no.
thank you.
don't do that.
Um,
Nor have we ever done cocaine or anything like that.
no, I'm not interested.
No. How do you guys deal with hate online? I see a lot of negative comments on your YouTube videos and curious how you handle those things.
I think that like hate is all like a product of like the person on the other end. So like it's sort of like hurt people hurt other people.
For
So when I see that, I'm like, ooh, you're having a bad day, or you are looking for somebody to take your anger out on, or I think just because like we display our life on the internet, we're like can sometimes be like a punching bag for people just because it's visible, it's there. People get triggered easily. It happens to me like when I see people, I would never like leave a hate comment, but you can like find yourself like thinking negative things about people just because it's like the trigger. But we just literally ignore it, and
Ignore it,
if
block
you just
it.
feed it, it'll just like get worse, and it doesn't like help anyone.
Yeah. We don't like we want our YouTube channel to be like a safe space for everybody, including ourselves, including
Yeah.
all of you guys. And just removing the hate, we just remove it altogether. Like,
Yeah.
we delete
It's
hate
not the
comments, we just like get rid of it. And a lot of the things, like common words, are like typically blocked on there, so we don't even see it, and it's just like deleted instantly without us even reading it, which is
Yeah.
nice. It doesn't bother us. I think if anything, it's just shocking that there's people out there that are that miserable where they try to come after somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sad,
I know.
but it doesn't affect us. I think if anything, it's more annoying if what they're trying to say is just like completely false.
Yeah.
It's one thing for people to come after you for things that like your physical appearances and stuff like that, but trying to create like rumors about you that just
about like your family or lies.
Yeah,
or that's like
okay, you're trying to create a story that has nothing to do with us.
Totally. I think of it as like a little kid like trying to get attention. That's like what I'm like, oh, you're really going deep because you want somebody to pay attention to you.
And a lot of haters try to use your platform for their like 10 seconds of fame in a way, and that like the best thing you can do is just like remove it altogether, because they just want to have a voice on your platform, but you have the ability to remove their voice altogether, which is what we do.
Exactly. It's not the vibe, guys.
Who do y'all look up to for parenting advice? So much info out there, I don't know what to believe. Believe yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I would say, right?
I feel like you can't really look at people for parenting advice.
Yeah, I mean,
so individual.
It's so individual per baby, per parent. And I think your natural instinct kind of shines over anything that the internet might tell you or people might try to get you subscribed to.
I think like this day and age with the internet, and there's so much information that, especially as a female, you can find yourself really like, it's like, okay, how do I do X, Y, and Z? Well, let me go see how someone else does it to like get an idea. And it really kind of takes away from like your personal power, because you can constantly be looking at other people for like structure on like how to live. And sometimes like you have everything you need, especially when it comes to parenting. Like, of course you can get like tips from people and learn habits and things along the way, but I would say just like don't look at other people and just do what like seems best to you, and trust your gut and what feels good. You
can get ideas from other people. I would say take ideas, not advice. So like take ideas and like build your way of parenting off of visually seeing others parent, rather than parenting in a way based on someone telling you how you should be parenting.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like trust your
instinct. And everyone's so different. Your lifestyle's different, your everything. So just trust yourself. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's really anyone that we look to for like advice.
I think we are all made to parent.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if you have the desire to parent and you were blessed to be given the ability to have a baby, then that natural instinct will come out.
It's like an art. Like parenting is truly an art. It's like you're literally just like loving on a little human. And so it's like everyone has like their gift of like how they love people, and you can just like apply that to your kids. And of course you're gonna have like family and friends that I always like look at my sisters and I watch them parent and I'm like, oh, I love how they did that, and then I'll maybe pick that up naturally, just things like that. But don't like get too strict on yourself or look too much, because you can start to feel like I'm not fitting in these boxes, but if it doesn't feel right, then it's not right. Oh, how do you guys cope with overstimulation as parents? Oh my gosh, this has been, I feel like, the topic of Hunter and I's last week and the last few months, because I think we really have started to realize like how much adding a baby like pushes you into another zone, and the overstimulation is so real, you guys. Like, it's funny because I noticed, I would tell Hunter like every couple of weeks I would get like super emotional and be like, oh my god, like I just like feel like I don't know what to do. And I always notice it's like when I'm underslept and like overstimulated, either from work, baby, like all of it just adds up.
You can experience burnout.
Yeah, burnout.
It happened to me probably for the first time like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Where I was like, babe, I gotta take a nap, or I gotta lay down.
Hunter like couldn't stay awake.
I couldn't stay awake. Like I was done. And anything she would say, I was like, please don't talk to me right now. Like I'm so like I've never felt that way, and it just hit me like 3 days ago, and I'm already back to normal. Like I feel fine now, but
we got some good sleep.
I was like underslept. I think I just had way too much on my plate, and we kept committing ourselves to a lot, and finally I was like, okay, I can't go to this, I can't do this, hey, sorry buddy, I have to back out of this. Like I had to clear my plate a little bit and just find some time for me. And you've had to do that a couple times in the past few weeks, and just be like, I need to prioritize myself, my sleep, some rest, some sunshine, whatever that might be.
I think like Hunter and I now are definitely carving out more time. Like I saw some people that did like date nights once a week, and I was like, oh my god, that's so often. But I think we almost now are like date night once a week, because you need that like total turn off time from work, from everything, just to like bring it down a few notches and like
reconnect with each other.
Yeah.
Make sure you're like on the same playing field.
Yep.
connect on things you've been wanting to talk about or things that have been on your mind or your heart.
Yeah.
And it's good for your relationship.
I think another way that we sort of like keep the stimulation and stress at bay is through our health, which we talk about so much on YouTube because it's such the like center of our life. But for Hunter and I think that our health and wellness has like really grounded and like rooted our life, and it's something that we like can rely on every day. It's things that keep us feeling calm, energized, and just like sane, honestly. Like our eating, our fitness, our sleep are really important to us, and we like really prioritize those things because I don't know how we would get through everything that we were doing if we didn't have our health in check. So it's really important to us.
Yeah, I would say like our health journey has been pretty
transformative
and important to our day-to-day, and also kind of changed how we think about like raising Smoke and like what we want to put in front of him, whether it's food or activities or how we want him to grow. And I think it's almost a blessing in disguise that I found out I had the autoimmune disease about 1.5 years ago, or a year ago. I guess it was almost 1.5 years ago now at this point. But it really like sparked this new desire to take care of ourselves, and we've gotten better like over the past 18 months.
Yeah. To
now, like we still want to continue to get better. Like there's things we want to remove out of our life and things we want to add and supplement in, and the health journey has been fun.
It is.
It's
like
really enjoyed it.
A lot of hard work, but it's very fulfilling, and it's like so great for you.
It just feels nice to feel good.
Yeah, and it gives you like a sense of power because you're like in control of something that has such a big effect on you, and we really want to like role model that for Smoke and the rest of our kids as they grow up.
Yeah.
So
and it's not like tomorrow you start a health journey and you're perfect. Like it's there's a learning curve there, and it's also like you get better over time. So if any of y'all are like wanting that but like scared to jump in, just know it like it's not like tomorrow's just like all of a sudden perfect and you're perfect moving forward. It's like
a long journey.
It is a journey, but like start making some changes in your life, and
slowly but surely
you'll be really glad you did. And each little step you make, you physically and mentally notice it.
Yeah,
you feel it, like you feel the change, and you start to tell yourself like, wow, I'm proud of myself for this, and then you can change again and like make bigger steps and leaps. And it's a nice little building block.
It is. Okay, thoughts on Ozempic. So random, but I think it's fascinating. It's so interesting. Like Hunter and I we've known people that have taken it. We would never take it personally. I just think it's like unnatural, so I would not want to do that approach, only because I'm like, okay, let's say we took it, which we don't really need to, but then it's sort of like a band-aid in my mind. Like what happens when you come off of it, you don't have the fundamentals that you need to actually like maintain your body or to have like a healthy.
We also don't know much
lifestyle.
about it either.
I know nothing
like,
about it.
Does it make you healthy, or does it just like make you look healthy, you know?
Well, I don't, first of all, it's not natural, so there's no way.
I think there's other reasons you can take it other than just like wanting to lose weight. There's other like actual health reasons you can take it for, I believe.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to just like knock it. Like there's probably really great reasons to take it.
I don't know much, but I just think like it's interesting. Like we were listening to a podcast, and it was like weird how it's like run by the government, and like America, like they control all the food that we eat and buy and everything. Like there's so much crap and processed food, and like we all are like depressed, anxious, and overweight, and then all of a sudden bam, they come out with Ozempic, which they also run and operate.
Regulate.
It's just like, do the math, guys. Like
it's like eat this food that's gonna make you feel sick, and then take this medicine that's gonna make you feel better
that you're gonna pay me for.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, who has the control here, you know? Like take the power back yourself. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Okay, I'm a YouTuber. How did you get your channel to grow so much? I'm having a tough time growing. Honestly, growing on YouTube is one of the hardest things ever.
We don't really focus on growth anymore.
We don't really focus on growth anymore. Yeah, we used to, but
at some point you kind of like, it's really weird because when you're growing on YouTube, you're trying to please your current audience that you have, and keep the videos consistent for them while also reaching new people. And at some point, you kind of have to focus on one of those two things.
You do.
It's like you either focus on your current audience that are like loyals and support you, and you want to keep giving them the content they subscribe to.
Yeah.
Or you can kind of like bail on that in a way and focus on growth alone.
Yeah.
You can still kind of balance it a little bit, but we found it pretty difficult to do that. And we just focused on, we decided to put more energy and time into you guys versus people that don't know the shit.
And we probably at some point could, like, maybe that would be something we would like add to our team, to like have someone help us with just like more stuff. It's just like another thing.
It's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
Focus on growth.
Yeah.
And I would say it's probably easier to grow your YouTube channel through TikTok these days.
I would agree.
Versus through YouTube. So like,
if I were you, I
get
would
discovered
get
on
on TikTok
and push people to your YouTube channel.
It's so much easier and it's just faster.
Versus hoping that someone's going to find you on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's a different infrastructure these days, and it's a little harder to get discovered on YouTube.
I would say when we were more focused on growth, a lot of trial and error. Like try different subjects, different titles, all sorts of things within your like categories that you're focusing on, and you just have to keep going until you figure out what works. I think we
keep it true to you, because
you
don't want to grow based on something that you're trying for the first time that you don't really care about.
Totally.
And then your new followers are like, well, wait, I followed you for this and you don't even do this, or this isn't even really part of your like branding or lifestyle. I think what we figured out through trial and error is we actually ended up growing based on things that we liked. So like, I remember one of our biggest growth periods on YouTube was when we started sharing about home decor.
Yeah.
When we added that into our channel.
Yeah.
And that was something that we genuinely liked and enjoyed, but we never really thought to share it. And then once we started sharing it, we started seeing like more folks joining because of that content.
Yeah, that's why like you just have to keep sharing what you love, because we would have never known that people would have been so interested in that until we were just sharing naturally, and then boom, people are like, oh, I really like that. We're like, great. And that's how people found us. So, and that might be different for every single person. Like some people, their fashion is like what gets them a lot of growth or something, and it all depend on like your gifts and specialties and talents. So trial and error is the best way to figure that out.
Think about it like, what type of content would you want to follow if you stumbled across it?
Yeah.
And make that type of content.
Exactly.
It's like what you're interested in, make that, and it'll make your life as a YouTuber more fulfilling if you're just able to make the content that's actually genuinely you.
Yeah. Exactly.
How's the sex life been since smoke?
A lot of people ask about this.
It's like a really common question.
About sex.
I think it's been pretty dang good.
I think it's been really good too.
Yeah.
I think there was definitely, when we talked about that phase where we were like feeling a little distant, I remember us like during that time we still like would we would still hook up like every so often, whatever. But and we would be like, that was kind of weird.
We'd both be like, we weren't, like, it was nice, but we weren't really in the mood for it. But we knew it was like,
we're like, the sparks aren't flying.
We need to keep the sex life going.
Yeah.
Or just like there. We don't want to just like ignore it. So we would still like hook up, but we would know in the back of our minds that neither one of us were like, we were both just exhausted.
We were exhausted, yeah.
And but we kept it up just to like make sure that we like had a healthy sex life.
Totally.
But I think more than anything, I think the sex life improved after we had smoked, because you find a new attraction for your partner.
Definitely.
Like a deeper love and a deeper attraction, and it just continues to grow.
Yeah. It's definitely something you just have to like find time for, and I think especially for like a female, like at the end of the night you can be like, oh my god, like so tired, it's like the last thing I want to do, but actually like for your health, like having sex is one of the best things you can do for stress and like cortisol. And I know it's what I find is really hard is that if I'm already stressed, then I'm like, I can't like calm down enough right now to like be able to enjoy this. So I really have to like make more of an effort to be like, okay, this is gonna help me like.
When I hear that, it's like challenge accepted.
God, I know. Hunter's like, well, I know exactly what you need. I'm like, get off of me. No, but it's good. And it's like, I mean, when have you ever had sex with your partner and then like felt worse after? You always are like, that was
unless
great.
You just don't like your partner.
Right, then in that case you might have some bigger things to be working out, but it's always a good thing, and brings you closer together and keeps you really connected, and your relationship is kind of like better from all that like connected time.
I would say all of the people asking about sex were definitely from the female perspective, and I think a good way to answer that is what Julia just said, which is like make sure you're still making the time for that with your husband, and same with the guys, like make time for that with your wife. Like there were times where we both were like, I'm not really in the mood, like we said, but like let's get in the mood.
You can kind of think of it as like meditating or like taking time. It's sort of like you're not on your phone, it's a good like de-stressor. And did you know that having orgasms can lower your cortisol?
I feel like my cortisol levels are high right now.
Shut up.
I'm gonna take it inside.
You're just stop.
No, for real. I think as a guy, the important thing is like make sure you're still putting in work in other areas outside of just your sex life. Like take your girl to dinner. Carve out valuable like one-on-one time with her. And I think that also makes your sex life better too.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think the relationship has to be balanced before that, because if you're like, especially like after having a baby, as I think the girls typically like tend to take on so much with like the baby and like breastfeeding and stuff like that, you could like maybe become like resentful if like your husband's not helping enough or something like that, which was not the case for us. But at first you can kind of feel like I'm just so stressed, I feel like I have to do everything, and that's when you need to like ask for help and learn how to like communicate to be like, I need the support in these areas, and that way it's more like if there's any sort of saltiness there, then you're not gonna want to have sex.
Nothing bugs me more than when guys complain about their sex life, but then you look at them and like how they treat their wife, or like the lack of connection they're having with their wife in the moment. It's like you can work in those areas, and then your sex life will be like a positive byproduct of that.
Absolutely.
So it's like give her the attention she needs.
Yeah. You gotta put in a little effort.
Not just for yourself to be able to have sex with her, but like for her as well. Like put in a little bit of effort. Work on those things. Work on your relationship, and then the sex life will be a positive byproduct of that. And not only like will you start having sex more, but your sex life will be more connected, will be more pleasing to her, more pleasing to you. It's just a big circle, but it's just about connecting, being one.
It's deeper than that.
And raising a kid together, loving each other, working on your life together, getting all of your responsibilities done together, putting your baby down to bed at the end of the night, having a nice Ninja Creamy on the couch, watching a show, and then taking it upstairs and like seeing what happens. But I will say, I think our sex life did improve once we started working on our health journey.
Oh, for sure.
Like that changed. It changed a lot.
It does. Well, we were just like happier than
the health journey changed us mentally, which changed us physically and sexually.
Totally.
So anyways, we love you guys. Thank you for all the questions. I've some reason sparked up when we started talking about sex. Let's go.
I'm not surprised. Okay, we love you. It's good to catch up, and we'll see you guys in vlogs soon.
Adios.
Bye.
Alright, baby, you ready? I'm turning the camera off. You ready to go inside?